It's Christine Wilson and Safira Galoob, and you'll thank us later. Tune in every week and hang out with us because we're a lot of fun.
And no topics off the record, we decided. We are open to talking about everything together with a bit of a sense of humor, a lot of self-forgiveness, a lot of grace, and always being wiser on the other end. Bring it on, girls and boys.
You know what? You'll thank me later that I'm telling you about this. You'll thank me. They're going to hate us, Safira. It's going to be nuts. Hey, everyone. Happy Thursday. It's good to see your faces. How are you?
Hanging in there. Have to say, it's been a tricky week, but we'll get into it. But overall, good. What about you?
I'm doing great. It's always better when I see you guys. And I have a glass of Cabernet ready and poured because this is the fun trick of life. It is the evening in Mallorca, Spain, where Safira is. So we can have a glass of wine together, Safira. So I've got a cab.
Cheers. I've got an Albarino because when in Spain, must drink Spanish wine. I'm not drinking a Mallorquin wine because I like the wines from Galicia, northern Spain, run a little bit more dry for me right now. So I have to drink, but maybe next time I'll have a Mallorquin wine.
Sounds delicious. And the best part, guys, Nicole and Courtney, when you guys finally get over to Mallorca with me, we're going to go raid Safira's house.
You tell me when.
The wine is so affordable.
Oh, I know.
So good.
Yeah. I mean, in the States, it's like if you're not spending 20, 25, it's probably a mass produced here. If you spend 15, you're considered to be like kind of splurging. And 25 to 30, that's like really showing off. So, and even restaurant wine, it's not expensive here.
And it was
the price of life should not be that expensive. It's really problematic. Everybody should have access to really, really good wine and really good produce. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I love it. And not only do I love that, I love your hat.
Thank you. I voted the day before I left. And I will tell you guys, this may surprise you, but maybe this is indicative. I got at least 15 comments going from where I was going, all thumbs up. Do you know what 100% of them represented? White, middle-aged, or definitely gray-haired guys in their 50s, all white men.
Okay, so I haven't said for our audio listeners what's on your hat. And based on what you just said, they're going to think you have Trump all over you right now. And you do not.
I do not. I have a Kamala Harris for President hat. I bought it at DCA. And the woman who sold it to me was from Ethiopia. And she said she was undecided. And I said to her, you cannot be undecided. If you are a person who came here from another country, you cannot be undecided.
You cannot.
You must vote for Harris. And that is the only vote on that ticket. So we're a few weeks before the election. I'm sure we'll look back on this time and hopefully with a lot of relief. But here we are, ladies. Here we are.
And you know what? It actually leads me into our topic for today because I spend a lot of time on social media. And obviously, so much of what is on social right now is all about the election. I have really, really honed my algorithm to not give me anything that is going to make me rage. So it is very positive, very pro-Kamala, very, very indicative of my beliefs because I just can't take it. I mean, and I see the things that, once in a while I'll see in the news things he said and I lose my mind. So luckily I've somehow gotten my feed to just be super woo-woo Kamala and we're going to be okay. And the polls are not necessarily even accurate. It's all going to be okay. But yeah, I'm losing sleep over it, and I don't know where I'm living.
I'm just impressed that you can finagle your algorithms. The good news is that I know that I'm not saying what's an algorithm, so at least you.
That's true.
I'm the disappointment. There's no. Well, it isn't true because I do have a few things that I kind of follow on. Oh, actually, I do have something that is a big warning for folks in terms of algorithms. You were not on this trip, Christine, but it was kind of in proximity of when we were in Mallorca. And I took a group of ladies to Morocco.
Oh, right.
7 women to Morocco. And one evening we were having dinner on like the terrace, which is the top floor of our riad. And I don't know how it came up. And oh, by the way, all of the women had their phones and they were next to them. I did not have my phone with me, which is not uncommon. I do not carry my phone with me very often or when I'm not working, which we'll talk about a little later. And we were talking about divorced friends, the process of divorce, the price of divorce, the emotional, we were just having a conversation. None of us were actually getting a divorce. It just was the topic. The next morning at breakfast, everybody brings their phones. And the one thing that everyone was shocked by was ad pushes and sponsorship at the top of their feed about divorces. I said, Siri
Yep.
had dinner with us last night.
Oh,
100%.
Oh, it's always listening. I have had topics. I was at the beach. I was talking about something super weird and asinine, and my very first TikTok video was about it. I ran into my friend's room at their house. I was like, "Look at this! It knew exactly
As
what
if we're surprised. And from what I know, Christine, I mean, this is what people hire you to do.
It is. So today we're going to talk about social media, and it comes out of a conversation we had the other day. And so we had a listener who actually gave us a question as a follow-up from that other episode. And I talked about the fact that before we had our phones and everything, we would basically have to like sit at a bar and wait for our friends to arrive, and we'd have to twiddle our thumbs, talk to the bartender, talk to the person next to us. I used to smoke cigarettes just to give myself something to do. Yeah, so that wasn't so good. But ultimately, you just had to pass the time. You didn't have a phone. You didn't have the opportunity to scroll social media. So Lucas wrote in and was basically asking about like, what was life like before social media? Like, he's known pretty much social media his whole life. And that's a big question that can be broken down so many different ways. But I think it is really interesting. And I think because Nicole and Courtney have pretty much had social media for most of their like non-child years of their lives, it's going to be really interesting to see how it's affected them and their thoughts and the way they look at the world versus how we do. But I have just a great example of the fact that I tried to reach you today. You were out and about without your phone. I went to the OBGYN this morning and I got onto the table in my paper gown holding my phone because God forbid I didn't fill that 30 seconds until the doctor walked in without scrolling on social media. And I had this moment where I was like, I should have left it in my purse. Like, this is really weird because now I have to do my whole appointment with this phone on the table with me. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Couldn't even take the 30 seconds in the appointment.
There's nothing wrong with you. We just have evolved into society where our relationship with information, and particularly information oriented in that way, it's become a little bit addictive. Yeah. And it has become kind of our emotional DNA. That's what I would say has happened sociologically. It's part of our emotional DNA and our relevance DNA, really.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing having teenagers, I do have a lot of worries and concerns about how social media is forming them and how it is potentially causing things like anxiety, inferiority complexes, feelings of being left out. And let's be honest, we as adults can feel those things too. So the reason this conversation I think is so interesting is there's 4 of us here. 2 of us did not have social media until we had already had children. We were married. We were, well into our adult lives. 2 of us have pretty much had social media most of our lives. And then of the 2 of us that are older, I run a social media agency. I love social media as much as I hate it. And I use social media every single day of my life. Whereas Safira, I literally cannot even find pictures of her doing random things because she has no social media presence. So like when I'm hunting for her content on the internet, it's only when she's like spoken at conferences. There is nothing out there where she has said, this is our holiday meal. This is me with my family. I mean, you do not put a thing out there.
I do not. And I'll tell you, we made a really conscious decision when I had my belly dance school. And I'll tell you, every one of my students knew this. And I had that school for 13 years. It was really when Facebook was really starting. Yelp was really, really big. It was before like Google reviews with Yelp and Facebook. And I made a pretty conscious effort not to participate in any of it. And I also wouldn't allow any pictures of me to be posted. And this was like before I even knew that I was going to go back into a non-artistic perspective. I think it probably hurt me and hurt my growth of my brand. But what it did do was it preserved a privacy that I now enjoy and I now can select what I share and with whom. And had I not been so discerning at that time in my life, that all would have been kind of fodder for who knows what, who knows where, who knows how. And, now I'm a recovering belly dancer. That translates in different ways to different people. But the fact that you don't really know what it means or doesn't mean I get to define it now, as opposed to people's perceptions of what may or may not have been online.
Right. So my sister introduced me to Facebook right after I had Ronan, my oldest. And she was, she was younger. She was more freshly out of college. So I was 30 and she was 25. So she knew about it coming from the university where it was just for university students. She knew about it. So I was not like crazy early adopter, but it was like 2007 time period. And so I got on Facebook and at a time where I was adjusting to a new level of social isolation that I had never experienced before. So I'm just a very social person. I like to be out about, my days are busy. I like interacting with people. And all of a sudden I had a baby that needed to nap a lot. And remember, I was following every single rule. So there was, I was home a lot. I was nursing a lot. And the iPhone had just come out. Right. So, and when it first came out, it didn't even have apps. So you sort of had to wait for the apps to get there. So it was like kind of at that culmination of like, I'm here and I'm trapped. And now I have this device that fits in my hand that gives me this portal to the world. And that's what I saw Facebook as. It was like my way into seeing what was happening in the world that I couldn't see from this sort of trapped perspective of my house. And I also was like super proud brand new mom and I wanted to brag and show him off, right? I mean, the cutest baby ever. I wanted everybody to see him. So I jumped in like full force, didn't even plug my nose. I just dove in. I was like, I'm excited and I'm ready to do this. And I didn't think about the consequences. There was no thought. Now, my dad, who works in cybersecurity, was like, I would never put anything on social media. And I was like, oh, whatever, Dad. And he really had a lot of points about why he would never do it. And they were very thoughtful, but I wanted that connection so much that I couldn't look past it. So at that time period when all of us other women were jumping right on, was your initial thought for privacy, or was it more like, this is just another thing I don't want to take? I don't need to add this to my list of things to do every day.
There's part of that, but I'll also say, and we actually were talking about finding your voice as a young woman and how do you pave your path. We're talking about it as it related to motherhood and marriage, but the professional pathway is also really hard to pave, particularly if it's not entirely clear when you go to college, or more likely you go to college, you land your first job and you're like, this isn't me. Or you do what you were supposed to do. You have a child, you're 10 years older and you want to redefine yourself. The difficulty with social media is that for me, in the experience of making decisions, it does give you ideas, but for me, it was too information intensive. And I knew myself that I would do a whole lot better off if I paved my path literally like with my, like this, and then you close your eyes and you go, la, 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 la. Like that's better for me. And then the other thing I early on kind of learned was, do you guys remember that Michael Phelps picture where he's slightly in front of the person in second place and he is swimming like his life depended on it? And you see this picture with the guy in second looking at him. You can see the guy looking at him. And the caption was, I hope I get it right, losers focus on winners and winners focus on winning. Now, that is kind of a competition concept, but let's think about it on what are you focused on? Are you focused on what other people are doing in order to define what you're doing? Or are you focused on what you really, really want to do? And then you'll figure out how to tell the world about it. And really that resonated more with me because I was so concerned I'd fall victim to what everybody else wanted me to do. And again, remember, I'm that girl as a child or as an adult, early adult child had the experience that life can be taken away like this. And I wanted to be regret-free.
Right.
The way I knew how to do that was to kind of shut out all the noise, all the expectations, and the what is everybody else doing? Because I could so easily be like, am I doing that? Am I doing that? And so I just avoided all of that comparative living. I don't have any comparative living, zero.
So do you ever feel left out or like you've missed something that was interesting or valuable that you were wish you'd been part of?
I think the only time I'd say that I have maybe kind of questioned it is that there was a point at which, and this is a perfect example, when I first got my sign for Saffron Dance on the brick building, I thought it was classier to have a copper sign that blended in with the building that no one could see. And just, everybody would walk into this nondescript building, see how great of a teacher I was, and that would be enough.
Yeah.
And I kind of have lived my life like, if you just do good work, everything else, you don't even have to talk about it. Well, so social media turned that whole concept on its head. it almost doesn't matter how good of work you actually do. It just matters what people's perception is of the work you do. And
Right.
social media is that leverage. And so, since I never really knew how to do that, I think it's taken me a longer time to develop the reputation that I currently have now. I just found out this morning, super exciting. My firm and my lead policy guy was quoted in The Guardian, which is like the UK
yeah.
version of the New York Times. So
Yeah.
and we didn't pitch. So, I mean, that's like, 10 years later. So I have not used social media in a way that has leveraged my brand, my reputation in a way that I could and maybe should have. And had you been advising me early on, probably helped me get more comfortable with. So I definitely think there's been some limitations there.
There are a few times where I've helped you with events and things, and I'm like, I want to just get this on your social. It's killing me that this isn't happening. But, I do really respect the fact that like someone could basically piece together like every step of my life pretty much for the last 15 years because I've shared and overshared. I've actually pulled back quite a bit in the last few years. I'm much more thoughtful. It used to feel like it was almost like a Pavlovian reaction every day to like, what did I do today? I have to tell everybody. And I think I don't know if you guys, Courtney and Nicole, you might not remember this, but Facebook in the beginning, it would say something like, Christine is. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah. And you could say, like, I'm brushing my hair. Like, no one cares.
Christine is brushing her hair. Yeah. And then you had all these weird, when you look back, you have these updates that just say brushing my hair because they took away your name and the verb, right? It was like gone. So it like prompted you to basically say, Christine is having dinner. Christine is waking up. Which is so asinine. Like nobody needs to know that, which, when we move to more visual content and things like that, I think it upped the game a little bit in like being more interesting and creative. But you can still put total crap out there, but you're going to be rewarded for something a little more visually interesting. But I think it's one of those things where I felt like when you become part of the social media ecosystem, it becomes like, well, everybody else is sharing pretty consistently. If I'm not sharing consistently, am I part of this? Am I doing it right? And so you want to be part of that. And then because I fell into social media I don't have a marketing degree. I have a psychology degree. I come from a mix of sales and marketing background, but the social media agency came about because I was so incredibly entrenched in helping small businesses reach moms at the beginning, right? And moms were spending all of their time on Facebook. And so, it was like if you weren't on Facebook, you were not talking to moms. They just weren't.
Well, and we also saw moms in your work with the Mothers of North Arlington, which was Mona was a group that the listserv community. I know, ladies, listserv used to be where it was at. And there was like desperation for a common conversation digitally. Yeah. And there may have been things earlier. There was MySpace, but the listserv, even my father, who's a surgeon at 81 years old, I remember in the 80s, he would go on and it was called CompuServe and he could talk to doctors. But that kind of joint participation was the first time we saw where the digital medium cultivated relationships, cultivated curiosity, cultivated information and expertise. And that has now translated into kind of anybody with a phone can make $1 million. Well, not everybody, but it's not necessarily proportionate to people's experience and what they've earned the right to share. But it is certainly, I've seen it from inception to where it is now.
Yeah, I remember getting on that Mona listserv when Ronan, like 4 nights in a row, wouldn't sleep. And I put out like an SOS message, like, somebody tell me what to do. And now I probably would go and if I were mom, I'd put that on Facebook to that community. But it was definitely overwhelming. So as part of preparation for today and talking about social media, I wanted to give people some tangible things to take away from this. But part of this is I talked to my team. So I've got a wide range of ages on my team, and I asked them kind of the good and the bad about social media. And, I will say, I'm going to say one of the goods for me is that I do learn a lot. Shockingly, I have found a lot of ways on TikTok to get educational content that's really interesting. YouTube, I utilize a lot for informational stuff. I have probably found less of an interest in Facebook at this point. And Instagram does keep me connected to people that I might not otherwise ever talk to or ever see. So I do feel an appreciation when I see someone that I really, really adored in college, but that we don't live near each other. We don't have an excuse to chat all the time. But when I can see that they just had a baby or they've reached some sort of accomplishment, I really do enjoy. There's a lot that I find very joyous about social media. The negatives for me are the fact that I actually have to put limits, like I use the Apple limits on my phone to stop me from scrolling. I give myself an hour. And I mean, at an hour, I still want to keep going. And I have it so it turns it off for me. And an hour, I mean, think about Safira. I know what Safira does with that hour. She goes to a workout class or she takes a walk or she does, or any person that is not.
There's no judgment on how we're using the time, sister. It's not a better or worse. It's just a difference.
I could say that there's a lot of times, if you think about that, that's 7 hours a week. It's a full day of my month, day out of my month that I am literally scrolling on TikTok. So I'm basically saying I'm willing to throw away half a month a year to what am I getting out of it necessarily?
Well, I think what are you getting out of it? How does this serve you? And that's a good question, right? I have been really curious about, I do have an Instagram account, but I've never posted on. I'm very curious about menopause, some of the menopause best practices. And so I've kind of been trying to find folks who can talk about menopause. And there's some really, some of the big doctors now they're using Instagram to talk to their folks. I've got a little skincare addiction. So I'm always interested in kind of what the latest skincare, and I love recipes. And so I myself can use it as a resource rather than looking for Google. I can go into Instagram and see. I do think the question that everyone should be asking, and we should be asking ourselves, how does this activity serve me? And that has to be a really honest conversation. And it should go not just how does it serve me, but how does it, because I can tell you that if I'm doing that activity, looking for a recipe for dinner, whatever it is, needing a new pair of shoes for, an outfit or whatever, if I'm doing it and my husband is in the room, I may as well be full on earphones, eye covers, and being like, you're not important to me. It does, particularly in the same space from somebody else, it does translate to you're not of interest. So in your relationship, and my girls that are married or recently married, or my folks who are in a relationship, does that making your partner feel like they're not important, does that serve you? So it has a multi-levels, I think. That question it's a pretty open-ended question.
Being the fact that I'm the person that loves social media, I have been at a dinner table with people my age and literally looked around and I've realized 3 of the 5 of us are on their phones. I don't know necessarily on social media. And I have been the one that's like, come on, you guys, are you kidding me? This is not only have you just made me feel like total shit, but it's also so freaking rude. I can't even.
Yeah, it is interesting that you said it's because social media, it has become so acceptable, to reach over and to look and so forth. And I do think, it is appropriate if we're talking about friendships, we're talking about relationships, that if you're going to go and sit with somebody and you'd say, listen, I can be off the grid, or I'm going to need to check to see if it comes in. I think it's fair that we should all establish the boundaries with that other person to set the expectations. Because I will tell you, if I had spent 7 hours cooking and somebody spent their time on the phone, it would really hurt my feelings. I was going to say offended, but it's not offended. It's the deeper root there is that I'm not enough. Unless, of course, somebody has a call or whatever, but it is a habit that our society has gotten into that I think has more damaging implications that we don't necessarily appreciate, for sure.
So this is a question out to all 3 of you. I remember riding in the car as a kid, as a teenager, in my 20s, and staring out the window and just watching things go by. I don't remember what my brain thought about. I have no idea. I don't know that I thought about anything. Do you guys ever find yourselves just giving yourself really long periods of no thought time where you're just letting your mind wander? Anybody do that? Courtney, I see you shaking your head. You do it?
Yeah, I enjoy that. I really love people watching. I'm the type of person, if I am waiting for someone, I will challenge myself to put my phone down and allow myself to look around the room and see who's there, not in a creepy way, but just see what's going on. I think what I was nodding to a little bit more and where I really try to practice this actually is at concerts. My dad always said he's a huge concert goer. He's like, you'll never remember it if you take pictures. And that is 100% true. There's been concerts that I've wanted to capture on my phone because I think it's memories I want to show people. And then in hindsight, it feels like you've blacked out. And there's concerts where I've just put my phone under the seat and you really do remember it more. It's a little bit of a tangent, but I think that probably can apply to other parts of life. You think that you're capturing moments and you're sort of not.
I almost feel like people record concerts because they need to like prove to everybody they were there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, be there, be at it, right? And they're live streaming it on their social media and they want to post it. And I'm like, there were also tens of thousands of other people there now too. Like you're not actually posting a one person experience, you know?
So again, I think that's just like a one-off example, but I feel like that probably translates to like other parts of life and activities and events and things like that.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
this is sad, honestly. I was at Trader Joe's grocery shopping and I'm at the checkout line and I got a lot of stuff in my cart. So it's taken a while. And at the end, the cashier looks at me and apologizes because they were like, oh my gosh, you weren't on your phone. You were just standing there and I wasn't talking to you because they're so used to not engaging in conversation because when they're waiting for you to scan everything and bag it, people get on their phone. And I legitimately got an apology from the cashier because they didn't speak to me because I wasn't on my phone for the 5 minutes it took to ring up my groceries. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. And that they have expected everybody will be on their phone.
Yeah. And then one that they even, like, it was such a big deal that they noticed to then say something. I don't know. It really resonated. So now every time I go, I make sure that I'm just standing there, you know.
Well, the kids are having their phones now taken away during class at school. And my son Declan's homeroom teacher said that she's like, they all just started talking to each other. She's like, I haven't had a homeroom where kids talk to each other in, she said, over a decade. She's like, it is amazing. There's no phones. They might as well talk. She's like, they're engaging. They're meeting people that they don't know. She was like, that's been gone. She said, I think it's been 10 years that we have not had that. They literally would just come in, sit down, do their homework, or be on social media. There was no engagement. So I think one of the things is, especially when we talk, I think one of the things we all like about podcasts is because we're hearing other people's experiences and stories. And we could be doing that every day, talking to people in our lives, but our faces are so buried in our phones that we're not having these engaging conversations with people. We're missing out. And so instead we have to like put on a podcast so we can hear people's experiences. Some of the other things that came up in our conversation was, well, obviously there's the phrase doom scrolling. I think it's like just that idea of just the endless scroll. Where does the end ever come? Is there ever a satisfying moment where you've consumed enough or felt enough? And Courtney, you expressed that you really felt exhausted sometimes, you know, after being on social media, that you were like overwhelmed by like, do I need to buy that? Do I need to get that? Do I need to know that? Am I measuring up? Tell me a little bit like about how it makes you feel when you just feel like you've gone too far with social media.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's not that it literally always gives me anxiety or whatnot, but it just keeps my brain on. You can feel it like ticking. So it'll keep me up at night because it almost, your brain like wants to move that fast continuously. That's what it feels like for me. So part of it is like, it doesn't calm me down by any means. Some people say they fall asleep watching TikTok. Like I couldn't do that. So that's an aspect of it. Sometimes like I do get a video that like really just is disturbing and you don't ask for it and it just comes up and you like can't avoid it. And then that's really unfortunate. And those are the days where, yeah, you feel like, oh my God, why this is such a toxic app. And then in addition to all of that, what you were describing, then there's like the comparative aspect where, yeah, you get in this like feverish mindset of, well, this is like the new trend, so I have to buy it. And that recently happened with me buying like a pair of sneakers. I wanted to get something different than, you know, everyone has those Sambas and it's like the whole, you know, now it's the cool thing to do is to not wear them. So I was like, well, shoot, I have them. Like, so now I need to get different sneakers. And I did. And I hate them. I never wear them. And then once I got them, I was like, why did I do this? Like, it didn't make me feel any better. And it's so silly. And so all's to say, like, I think it keeps me up emotionally and, you know, physically in ways that I just don't really love.
So, I mean, I guess part of this is like, what do we do? What are the action items? Like, what are we as the four of us and also the community that we have, the You'll Thank Us Later community, what can they do to make it better? And I think I'd like to make a commitment to you guys, and I'm asking you to hold me accountable if you guys are okay with that. I would like to commit myself to no more than 3 hours of any type of social media a week. And being that I work in social media, there's a very good chance that could just be work. Luckily, guys, I'm not the one posting for our clients. So our clients don't have to worry that I'm all of a sudden everything's going to go quiet. And I do feel a lot of pressure to not be like dumb about trends and what's going on. I mean, you guys know, as soon as something new comes out, I'm like, guys, are we doing this? Is this a thing? Are we, I like to be a proponent for our clients and not be like doing social media 5 years ago. I like to know what's happening. But I think there's no reason for more than 3 hours a week. I think 3 hours, I think that what I need to do is I actually would like to keep track of it and maybe come back and tell you all how I do. I think it's going to be really painful. I'll be honest. I can envision, and my two choice channels are Instagram and TikTok. And I think it's going to.
Would you be allowed, is it at all reasonable? And I don't know the answer to this, just to choose one of those apps?
Yeah. So, okay.
I don't even know the difference between the two.
So to me, most of my Instagram feed is people I know. Mm-hmm. And so there's a time and place where I want that because I want to know what people are up to. But there's also a time and place I don't want it because I'm like, I just want something that doesn't actually do with my life. I want nothing personal in it.
So part of it is the unfamiliar and part of it is the familiar.
Yeah. So TikTok is the unfamiliar for me. For the most part, I don't know the people that I follow. It is a great resource, like I said, for news and recipes and everything else. But a lot of it is a whole lot of shit. I mean,
will say, you never had a question, you always have an answer by something you saw on TikTok. So it is a little like a Wikipedia for anything you wanted to know. Life. Someone has.
I use TikTok like Google. Like now, I don't go to Google. If I have a question, if I'm looking for something, I go to TikTok first, or even Instagram. But like Google for me is like kind of my last resort now for search engines.
Or to fact check.
Yeah.
What you learned on TikTok was actually right.
Yeah.
There are a few times where I've said something very factually, and then I'm like, but I did learn that on TikTok, so I don't really.
so I'm going to put something out here that is, I mean, I only can say this from like a place of, this is the way I have kind of oriented my life. And I'm not perfect. I definitely have done searches on Instagram, and I bought like a shoe brand that I found on Instagram. But I do think one of the things, You'll Thank Us Later, if someone said, what's the most important thing about You'll Thank Us Later? Like why would you even want to do it? And what would be your legacy? And it is about a mental health position, because mental health to me, one, it's pervasive in every aspect. It is mindset and your own perception of your own mental health. And it is completely the most important thing. In fact, I think in my bio, I put your mask on first. And my husband's like, physically in the airport, I'm like, yeah, but it's an analogy for how are you taking care of yourself first? I know that maybe some people think I'm selfish. I mean, I don't really care about what folks do think about it because I know what I think about it for myself, that if your experience in social media does not serve the life you want to live, then you have a personal responsibility to change it. So like for me, I want to invite you to not be so hard on yourself. If the time doing it, like for example, if it relaxes you, then I don't want you to give judgment that it relaxes. But if it goes from relaxing to feeling ignored, now it's a different equation. So to me, or if it's like, we've got to find the perfect pair of shoes for this outfit. And I don't know. Some of these rules of construction feel so
artificial. Like why? Right.
Yeah. It's an artificial. I want you to be like, Christine, I want you living your best life. I want you to be your happiest human. I want you to and by the way, I mean, I'm up, I'm down, I'm anxious, I'm confident, I'm all over the place, but I know the activities that put me in the best position to feel like my best self. And, maybe sometimes scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through med diet recipes, or how many steps I should have in my skincare routine, which by the way, there's a lot of Instagram.
Oh my God. And I've bought all of it.
It serves me because it helps me separate. I'm a big bath person, like my day, my night, the difference is the bath, and sometimes that's kind of when I do my business, but I just don't want you to be so hard on yourself.
Thank you. Well, I was really proud of myself. I will say, because I had prepped this episode yesterday, last night I was sitting on the couch scrolling TikTok and I heard the front door click. And so I knew it was Declan going out to play basketball out front. And I was like, oh, I'm so comfy and warm. And I'm on the couch. And I was like, no, this is not doing anything for me. And I put my phone down and I went outside and we played horse. And by the way, I won.
You did. I'm so impressed. You played basketball with your son. Okay.
You should. It's so bad. It's so bad watching me. I win by flukes because I know he's not great at layups. He's good at all these other tricky shots. So I just make as many layups as possible and then he'll miss a few and I end up winning. But he's really a much better basketball player. I'm
so impressed with you. I've never once played basketball with my son. So you already get, you are high key impressive.
Oh, it's fun.
Do you know what that means?
Low
What is
key,
it? You know
low.
what that means?
Oh, high key. Oh, it must be the opposite of low key, but I
So
don't.
you know what low key means.
So, well, I know. Yeah, low. Yeah. The kids all the time say low key, but what's high key?
It's the opposite of low key. I thought
Like-
I was so clever saying I low
What-
key did some homework. I low key did some homework on cool words. Yeah. I'm
Tell me
high
some
key
more you
impressed.
learned. Tell me some more.
Well, no, I also learned locked in. So I said, I'll be there to pick you up. Is that a good time? And my son goes, locked in. I was like, okay, is that an affirmative that I'm picking you up? Are you happy I'm picking you up? Are we going to confirm that that's the time we're picking you up?
Or is he
But I
locked
did.
in and can't get out and meet you because he's
I know.
locked?
What was the line we did? Was it Skibbity? Skibbity. I did come down. My son was taking a practice SAT and I go, hey, Luca, Skibbity. And he went, wow. And he had to, of course, tell all of his friends.
He said, "This is a skibbity SAT."
He
Right?
did say it was a Skibbity SAT. Yes, he did.
Okay, so I have one for you that is trend. Okay, guys, Courtney and Nicole, you got to help me not be super cringy right now because I'm going to be super cringy. But there's a very trending thing on TikTok that made me think of me and Safira, and it's in the club. We all think in the club. So they have it going, and it's, it says in the club, we're all fam. The person, what? And then they say, in the club, we're all family. And I could just see saying that to you, Safira, and you're like, what?
Yeah, I was like, am I supposed to know? Is this supposed to be funny? I'm absolutely like not, well, let's just say I am really clued out a lot of the times. I'm like lost on me.
The best part is, though, if you're clued out and you also don't even realize that you're clued out, it doesn't matter.
I will say there's, that if you're not on it at all, like I'm on it like maybe twice a week, just to kind of, again, my little indulgences I shared, you don't really know that you've missed anything.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of it's a little bit of a relief. You don't really know you've missed anything. Yeah.
Well, I would like to commit to a lesser time on social media. I will figure out exactly what that looks
Do
like.
that if it serves you. There's no judgment here. And I forgot to share this last time, but this is so important. If you don't meet your expectations, then you have to follow one of my main rules of life, which is forgive yourself quickly and frequently.
I love that. That's great. That's
So
a good
whatever it is that you set yourself up for, if you don't meet your own expectation, forgive yourself quickly and frequently, because by the way, you're going to make a mistake in about 5 minutes. You're going to have to forgive yourself again. So ladies, I think last week the rule was trade up houses, jobs, cars, and spouses. Did we talk about that? Trade up. Okay. This week it is forgive yourself quickly and frequently. That is your Safira-ism for the week.
I love it. I love it. And I think forgiveness is important because I think especially women, probably men too, but I've never been a man, so I don't know. I think we really beat ourselves up over things that we had no intention of doing wrong. And I know your personalities, the three of you, you set very high expectations for yourselves. And for the most part, you meet them. And so when you don't, I think that you feel it very much in your core. And I know I do. And it's one of those things where I've learned that I have to move past it quickly, because if I live in that place of feeling upset with myself or disappointed in myself, then it just drags down the next couple of goals that I had. So really have to move past.
I do think that the social media, like this deluge that we're in, makes it very hard to forgive yourself quickly and frequently, because everybody in that world is taking their vitamins every day, having 30 grams of protein at every meal. They're intermittent fasting for every single day of the week. They're like, this is how I get my flat stomach. Like, I know enough to be able to like share with you some of the good stuff, 12 steps, face, morning and evening. Like, life is just not like that. Life just gets in the way. Right. So
that is true. So I have a really ironic way to end the podcast today. We, as a You'll Thank Us Later show, we are on the socials. We'd love for you to follow us. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. Please come out and follow. Come out and follow. Geez, I sound like a grandmother. Come on out and follow us on the socials, guys.
in the club.
In the club. Anyway, follow us. We will have good content there. We've got a talented team running that social, and we'll have some fun bites and snippets there for you guys. Also, I'm determined to go find some fun pictures of Saphira that I can share since she doesn't have them anywhere else on social media.
I
So
do owe that to you. I've got a few that I can. My husband is a resident photographer, so I should definitely let folks get to know me a little bit.
I was going through pictures of you to try to find one. And there's one where we were in, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, Dea.
Yeah.
And you and Lindsay are sitting at the resort like the most elegant ladies I've ever seen with a wine, and you had your cute hat.
It was at La Residencia. At
Yes.
the Residencia.
And I
Yeah.
took a picture of you and I was like, oh God, I don't belong in this scene. So I'm going to take it of them. They looked awesome. They looked so cute. That may make an appearance, some of those pictures. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate your insights and your thoughts. And I am going to take this action item. I encourage anyone listening who finds that social media is causing them feelings that they don't enjoy or negativity, or they think they might be missing out on things that are happening in the real world. My IRL that I like to say. My kids cringe every time I say it. I'm going to just try to be more present and not revert to social media as my easy out for life. So let's give it a try. And if anybody else wants to join me, please do. And other than that, I hope Spain is fabulous. Thank you for letting me drink wine with you in the Spanish evening.
Absolutely. I hope it doesn't make you fall asleep before noon too quickly.
Yeah, it's afternoon here, so it's okay that I'm drinking. It's all good. It's all
Day
good.
drinking during the week may not be the best thing, but you'll get a Mallorquin pass.
Thank you.
Today.
All right, guys. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.